Since 1923, Roy O. Martin, a Louisiana-based wood products company, has followed the example of its founder to give back to our Louisiana communities where we live and work. To learn more, visit royomartin.com. The Louisiana Lottery is proud to join LPB in honoring the 2018 Louisiana Legends, contributing over $3.5 billion for K-12 public education. The lottery is giving Louisiana a reason to smile. Support for the 2018 Louisiana Legends comes from Willis Knighton, a locally owned, locally operated not-for-profit health system serving patients in the Arklatex since 1924.
Hello, welcome to this edition of Louisiana Legends. I am in the lovely home of Thomas Chance, or the boyhood home of Thomas Chance, a Louisiana legend in 2018, and we're looking forward to having a great conversation with you, Thomas. Thank you for allowing us to be here.
Well, I appreciate it, Beth. It's a great recognition, and I'm humbly appreciative.
Well, we appreciate so much you taking the time to visit with us. But first, let's take a look back at our little bio clip that we did for the Legends event.
Thomas Chance is fearless, brilliant, and humble.
He is a highly motivated person, there's no doubt about that. He's always shooting for the stars.
As a young boy, Thomas Chance wanted to be an inventor and was in awe of mechanical and electrical things and how they could be used to make life easier.
From day one, it was like he was born knowing what he wanted to do.
We would go to camp every summer. Thomas was camper of the week more than anybody else in the world, I believe. He really strived to, do great.
In 7th grade, Thomas joined his school's football team and made a good bench warmer until his coach taught him fundamentals and put him in the game as a lineman. Giving 110%, he quickly moved to first string and finished as 1 in 4 chosen for the All-Star team. It was a great confidence builder, and Thomas went on to become junior high student body president, high school class president, key club president, and was chosen to attend a National Science Foundation program in engineering at Louisiana State University. As his confidence began to grow, so did his dream of becoming an inventor. He majored in electrical engineering at LSU, and it was on a university-sponsored trip to Germany that Thomas met another LSU student, Lisa Mansueto.
We've been a team, really since day one, even when we met each other. For some reason, we were a team, so if there's such thing as a soulmate, I found it.
Today, some 36 years later, Thomas and Lisa are parents to 5 children and 4 grandchildren, with another on the way.
As a dad and a husband, he's an amazing man. I don't know how he does it all, because the number of hours he puts into his career and to his professional life has been astounding.
Thomas Chance credits his parents John and Joretta Chance for much of his success. His father's oil and gas surveying and mapping company employed over 400 people and had more than a dozen survey vessels.
I think his biggest role model was my dad. He was a wonderful role model not only for Thomas but for all of us. He was a successful businessman, as good of a father as you could ever get. Everybody in town liked him, his employees loved him, and Thomas got a lot of that.
While working for his father, Thomas played a major role in the development of Starfix, the world's first privately owned satellite-based navigation system. Similar to today's GPS, Starfix was revolutionary technology for its time and was built by a team based in Louisiana. 5 years into his career, Thomas returned to school and obtained a master's in management from Purdue University. And when their father sold his company, Thomas and his brother Jim started C&C Technologies, a global offshore surveying and mapping company with 10 offices worldwide. Unlike the previous deep-towed sonar technology, C&C developed an autonomous underwater vehicle, a self-propelled and unmanned submarine with no cable to a surface ship. It was the first company in the world to offer these services, As the company got bigger, so did more opportunities grow. It wasn't long before the expansion of another company, ASV Global, developed, and the business of unmanned surface vehicles. Basically, driverless boats became part of the mix.
It's a Navy technology historically that Thomas grabbed hold of. It's a maritime surface vessel that has no pilot on board. Everything comes across via satellite, and the captain can be sleeping in their own bed at night, but still piloting the vessel on the high seas. Very interesting.
In 2015, the Chance brothers sold C&C Technologies. Not ready to retire, Thomas bought his brother's portion of ASV, and today ASV Global is the largest and most experienced unmanned boat company in the world.
He's regarded throughout the survey industry as an entrepreneur, but also kind of a gentleman of a lost breed, so to speak. You know, a handshake is as good as a contract.
And while it may seem that Thomas Chance is all business, his autonomous invention technology is also his play.
Every Halloween time, he sets up 2 40-foot containers are delivered to his driveway. He's got a fully robotic haunted house that has a one come all sign that he puts up, and he entertains all of Lafayette's children on this thing, and has taken great joy in that for years and years.
It's been a lifetime of good decisions that has led to success for Chance. As a person of high integrity, he has accomplished things that others are daunted by. He has a remarkable track record.
He has a smile on his face all of the time, no matter what. He's a really nice person, and that makes me proud.
So Thomas, we're here in your boyhood home, a Haystown house, a lovely home, here in Lafayette, Louisiana. You know, Lafayette, everyone seems to love living in Lafayette. Why do you think that's so?
Yeah. I don't know, Lafayette certainly has its own unique culture. Having grown up here and in the 60s, there was a lot of French-speaking people, way more than there is now, and as the oil industry came, it kind of diluted the French, because the oil industry brought people in from all over the country and all over the world for that matter. But I don't know, Lafayette was recognized as the happiest city in the country just a few years ago by the Wall Street Journal, and people love the place.
Well, you certainly, your family's here in Louisiana, happily. You have how many children now you have?
My wife and I have 5 children, 3 girls and 2 boys, and 3 of them are here, and 2 in Baton Rouge. So none of them are very far, which is really good, because nowadays you see kids running off all over the world. So it's great to have them here, and then we have 5 grandkids too. As of yesterday, we have went from 4 to 5.
Oh, congratulations. How wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, certainly you know about all over the world. Your businesses really are international. What is it like now doing a business in a world environment? Has it changed through the years?
Sure. It certainly seems like it's the world has gotten smaller, and business is routinely done all over the world, and you know, we've had a great opportunity to work in different places in the world, and the cultures are different. The business is the same, and the business thinking is almost the same, but it's actually very different. And you know, you go to South America, you go to Africa, you go to Europe and the Far East, and it's amazing how different. Yet you know, some parts are very similar, but some parts are actually very different.
So I was so fascinated to learn about this unmanned, the boats that you do. Now, did you personally invent that?
Well, people have been doing unmanned boats for probably, the first one was done, I don't know, 80 years ago, right? Mm-hmm, way before my time.
Right.
My first company, C&C Technologies, we worked in the autonomous underwater vehicle business, where we were developed systems to survey along the ocean bottom without a tether to the surface, and we really led the world in that area. And then having that experience, I could see that the moon and stars were really in alignment for us to do the same thing in the unmanned surface vehicle area, and so we were leading the world in in that unmanned underwater vehicle area, and now we're in a, and certainly in a position where we're leading the world in the unmanned surface vehicle area. So like driverless cars, we're doing driverless boats, and we've done more than 100, and it's really a lot of fun.
Well, like driverless cars, though, have you had some accidents crashing in?
And I will say that, you know, if you're out in the open ocean and you're doing 5 or 10 knots, it's a lot more rational than being on a highway 70 miles an hour, nobody's at the steering wheel, and there's kids in the back seat, right? The world's not quite ready for that, and, you know, that last bit of autonomy is tough to get.
You said it's fun to do that. That's the thing
fun.
that I loved when I was looking at your bio was you enjoy everything you're doing. So it's fun being in business.
It's fun. It's fun. It has its challenges, but you know, it's a lot of fun.
When did you know that you wanted to do that, create new things as a young child?
I don't know if I would classify myself as an inventor, but certainly even as a young child, you know, I really liked to invent. And I always wanted, ever since I can remember, I wanted to be an inventor, right? And I was, it was kind of upsetting because it seemed like Thomas Edison invented everything. There was nothing left to invent.
Yeah.
But as time went on, you know, certainly as a child, I was doing all kind of things from chemistry and photography and making projectors and making motors and making soap that would make rings in the bathtub that my mom couldn't get out, and all kind of things. But as time went on, then the idea of, hey, look, we can get a bunch of smart people together and do a lot more than what one person can do. And so I can't say that I'm a technological leader myself, but I'm working with a lot of smart people, and they can get it done.
But you're curious.
Absolutely.
I think curiosity is something that you have to sort of have inbred in you. Do you think that?
Right.
Do you agree with that or not?
Yeah, certainly. I probably do things develop some things that most people would be scared of, and they would say, "Well, Thomas is crazy," and maybe I am.
It's okay.
It's okay for me. So it's worked out so far.
Well, the other thing though is hard work. Now you're not a very bulked up fellow, you're slight, but you played football.
Well, for a short
period of time.
For a short time, yeah. And I think 7th grade, you know, went after the football team, and of course they take everybody, and as they do now. And I wasn't big, I wasn't fast, and so I was a good bench warmer for the first few games, and I told my coach, Hank Perrette, who was an attorney here in Lafayette now, and he was a senior in high school at the time, so he was the old guy, right, and he was the old coach, right? And so I told him, I said, look, put me in to do something that I can do, because I can't run fast, I can't catch the ball, I don't know if there's anything left. And he put me in as a lineman, and he showed me how to do that. And I'd been pushing lawnmowers since I was like 8 years old, so it was actually pretty similar. And so with his coaching, I really excelled, and it gave me a lot of confidence as a young boy. And I really have to say that it snowballed into other things through my business, through my marriage, and.
But it takes hours though of determination, and so you have to practice whatever it is you're doing, right? There's a famous book that talks about 10,000 hours of practice, whether it's soccer or the cello.
Right.
And so, do you agree with that whole concept of hours of hard?
Yeah,
practice?
absolutely. And I was speaking to a group just a few weeks ago about entrepreneurship, and I told them, I said, look, if you want to start a company, then the best thing you can do is go work for a company that you like, learn everything about it, and after about 5 years, go and try that. And that's kind of the open court layup, as opposed to, well, I'm going to drop out of college because Bill Gates did that, and I'm going to go start my company in something I don't know anything about. So that's a very low probability pathway. So there's a lot easier ways to do it, and that ensures success.
So it takes hard work, it takes curiosity, determination. Do you think you were also prepared by your school preparations in Lafayette, and then when you went on to LSU in engineering?
Sure. I went to school just a couple blocks from here. I'd walk to school. It was Our Lady of Fatima School. It is still there, but it was first grade through 12th grade at the time, and they certainly flogged me with the golden rule, and I certainly learned that, and went off to LSU, which was a bit terrifying for me because it was an hour away. It was kind of far, right? And back in '77, studied electrical engineering, which was also terrifying. And I remember the first day there, during orientation, they got us all in the assembly center, and they said, "Well, look at the person on your left and look at the person on your right. Of the three of y'all, only one of you will make it through this engineering program." And I was like, "Oh, gee!" So I knew I had to run hard, because I had, a lot of good, smart people there, and but I learned to run hard from an early age too.
Yes, so you were a long distance runner.
I was a long distance runner, but I learned to work hard from an early age.
Right. I look out at this generation now, and we worry about, are there opportunities for young people in Louisiana now? We seem to have not a bad feeling about our state. We're always talking about we're at the bottom of lists that are ones we want to be at the top of the list. Do you sense that maybe Louisiana isn't as positive as it was when you were growing up?
Louisiana has huge opportunities. We have huge talent here. We have great universities here. The one here in Lafayette, UL Lafayette, is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal school, a phenomenal engineering program, great computer science program. I've hired a gazillion people from this area, including the university. I'll stack them up against the Silicon Valley people and the Boston people, whatever. And hey, look, we're doing things that are way past them in certain niches. So we're there.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, we're there.
Because we're always hearing about that. So let's focus a little bit on the oil and gas industry that's so big here in this part of the world. Are you worried about the next hurricane coming that might have a dramatic impact on South Louisiana?
I grew up learning about Hurricane Audrey in '57, all these people. It's a terrifying thing. And if I learned anything growing up about hurricanes, it's like, get the heck out the way.
Yeah.
Don't say, oh, yeah, I've done this before. I can... I'm not scared. It's like, and I remember, I guess it was Hurricane Camille, and all the college kids were in a hurricane-proof house, and a lot of them died.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not going there. So that's what I learned about hurricanes.
We also are worried now that some of the marsh and some of the part of Louisiana is eroding. We keep hearing that.
Sure.
And so that seems to have an impact on, look at Port Fourchon and all the things we have down on the coast. You're wondering how long they can be sustained.
Right, yeah, and the diversion of the water in the Mississippi is like 99% of that, is responsible for 99% of that coastal erosion. And so it's almost a man-made problem. And at the same time, trying to sustain it by building offshore, structures time will tell if that works. Mother Nature is pretty powerful when it decides to come in with a hurricane, just wipe out everything you've done in the last 20 years in one night.
Right, absolutely. So let's dream together, looking out into the future. What is it you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Oh, geez, yeah, that's a good question. I'm a guy that likes to stick to the knitting. I understand maritime science. I understand ocean bottom sensors. I understand some autonomy stuff. So I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm not going to dance way out of the corridor that I understand. So there's certainly areas in the unmanned boat business that are just blossoming. It's from a defense standpoint, a commercial standpoint, boats larger and larger are looking to go unmanned. We can reduce costs. Groups can build large vessels at half the cost, and get two vessels for the price of one if they go unmanned or reduce manned. It's not turning back. This is like a tractor is now taking over from the mule and plow. They're not going back to the mule and plow, right? The unmanned boats are going to take over the world. Not in 100% of the cases, but it's going to be more and more of that.
So what do you say to your grandchildren? What kind of jobs do you think they're going to have?
Well, they'll be way ahead of me. Even my oldest grandson, who's 5 years old, you give him another 5 years and I mean, you know how 10 and 11, 12-year-old kids are. It's like you need to know something about your computer or how your phone works, you go ask a 12-year-old.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, one of the things that I also love about you is you evidently have a love affair with Halloween and celebrations. I mean, is that fun for you, having all those fun little robotic things and the neighborhood all comes in? Is that
Right.
is that a pleasure?
Yeah, it's 20 years ago. When my kids were little and they said, "Dad, can we do a haunted house?" I said, "Yeah, let's do something." So we did something very simple. We got some black visqueen sheeting and plastic sheeting and made a tunnel, and people would walk through and see pictures of ghosts and pumpkins, and they'd get some candy. Nothing scary and nothing gory. And then as time went on, I added more and more stuff, and now it's completely out of hand. We'll have like 1,600 people show up at our house for the last 4 nights of Halloween of October. And it's all free, and and kids start asking me about it midsummer. "Mr. Thomas, are you going to do the haunted house?" And it's like, yeah, I guess I will have to. I mean, everybody's banking on it, and it's a lot of fun for those kids and for the parents and the grandparents. It's a autonomous train ride, and everybody goes through, and it's very family oriented.
Do you also think it's important then to give back not only to your family but to your community that you live in? I feel
absolutely, yeah. And I guess that's part of it, and I try to do that as much as I can. Of course, I'm always running businesses and dedicating huge amounts of time to that. But you're right. I mean, and we've done some of that and helped some of the local charities, and there's always plenty to do in that area.
Do you think you're ever going to retire and sit back in a rocking chair?
I can retire for about 10 minutes, and then I will go crazy, so I've got to keep going.
Probably not. What
Probably
are
not.
your sports that you like to do?
Well, I used to run. I hurt my back a few months ago, and I kind of backed off. But for years I've run. But I certainly like to watch those LSU football games.
Yes.
That's all of those college sports are really exciting for me.
We honor you as a legend, and we are so impressed with all that you've created in your business field, as well as in your community here and with your family. But give some advice to others. So let's give our viewers just a little advice on how they might succeed.
Well, certainly succeeding is a matter of being tenacious, working hard, not giving up. Certainly getting input from others. If I've learned anything, it is in the seismic industry, they stack data. So they get enough samples until the noise starts to go away and the real stuff comes out. And making consensus decisions by talking to the people, the customers, and the technical people, and bringing all that information together before you make a decision is probably the most important key to success, because you rudder a little bit one way or the other, and 10 years later you're going to either be way in heck over there or you're going to be way in heck over there, depending on how you move that rudder today. So I would say that working hard, concentrating in an area and learning it well, really getting the information from the customers and letting that drive you, as opposed to technology push, its market pull, and getting that consensus information before you make a decision.
And then I guess also if you're successful, you're grateful to some people. In this instance, probably your family. Sounds like your mom and dad gave you some
Sure, yeah, certainly my family, everything from my great grandmother, who taught me how to work inordinately hard, to my parents.
She paid you $3.50 for
Yeah.
mowing,
Yeah,
right?
$3.50 to cut the yard, and that was good money back then. But
Right.
but certainly my parents, my school, and in business, the employees and the customers. The employees that would go and from the office staff to the field staff, and people in the field that are working away from home for weeks at a time, a whole career, away from their families, and it's really tough on the individuals and those families. So I'm immensely grateful for all the, it takes all of those people running. It's like a chain as strong as its weakest link, and you have to have all of those people, and everything has to pull together for it to work. And a lot of smart leaders in the companies I've been able to work with, a lot of smart people, which is really
So,
part of the success.
any advice then to Louisianians who want a success for their state?
Louisiana has as many opportunities, and probably more so now with the internet going, and you know, people move around the world so easily. It's not like you have to be in New York to do international work. You can do it from here in Lafayette, Louisiana. You can do it from Opelousas, wherever. Stay here, be tenacious, work hard, get opinions of others who are in a good position to know, and dog the heck out of it, and it's the chances of success are actually pretty good.
I love it, the fact that you said, so you bring an employee down here to your company, and then how do you keep them?
In addition to hiring locally, sometimes we'd find somebody who's sort of trained in some specific area, and they may be from Canada or somewhere else in the United States. And if you get them here locally working, and you know, they're young, you get them, if they end up marrying somebody locally, then the likelihood is that, you know, that's a big anchor, right? Because you know, mama's right down the road and grandma's right next door, and so it helps in retaining employees
as
for
well.
sure.
As well,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Thomas, thanks for letting us come to your hometown, and congratulations on being a Louisiana legend. We're very proud to know you, and thanks for the conversation.
Thank you, Beth. It's very enjoyable.
For Louisiana Legends, I'm Beth Courtney. Thanks for joining us.
Since 1923, Roy O'Martin, a Louisiana-based wood products company, has followed the example of its founder to give back to our Louisiana communities where we live and work. To learn more, visit royomartin.com. The Louisiana Lottery is proud to join LPB in honoring the 2018 Louisiana Legends, contributing over $3.5 billion for K-12 public education. The lottery is giving Louisiana a reason to smile. Support for the 2018 Louisiana Legends comes from Willis Knighton, a locally owned, locally operated not-for-profit health system serving patients in the Arklatex since 1924.
For a copy of this program, call 1-800-973-7246 or go online to www.lpb.org.